What is going on, YouTube world? It's Thatlowdsg back with another video, and today I'm going to show you guys how to remove your factory exhaust headers manifold and replace it with some BBK shorties or long tubes. The installation of the long tubes is very similar. It's just that with the dipstick on the driver's side, you do have to relocate it or figure something out with it, but everything else is pretty much straightforward, similar to. With the K-member dropped, you can easily access the headers on both sides. This passenger side one is going to be rough, I won't lie to you. And I know you're probably thinking, well, my K-member is not dropped. How do I drop my K-member? No need to worry. If you're new to the channel, I literally just posted a video, step-by-step, super in-depth video. It'll be up here, or I'll leave a link in the description down below. But with that said, let's just get straight in. We need to take off this EGR valve. It's going to be on there very, very tightly because it's part of the exhaust, so it gets hot and cold and expands and whatnot. We're bringing in special forces, so you will need a blowtorch setup for this, honestly. So we're just gonna heat at this thing for quite some time here, try and loosen it up, see if we can. Okay, now you're gonna need a really big wrench to go around it. This is a 1 1/16 thing for like 2 minutes straight, and it decides to finally. Alright, it's disconnected now, as you can see. You can sort of see, but it's disconnected. Okay, now there's 8 bolts holding this in total, 4 on the top and then 4 underneath here. We're just gonna take a 13 mil. On the top here, you can see that the stud came in on that one, but the stud stayed in on these two, and then the far one. Some studs will stay in there, and you can either reuse them or install new ones. I'm going to show you how to do either or. On the underside here, there's 4, just like the top, and there's 1 hidden on the other side of this. Alright, another stud out. Now, there's just 1 more back here. Alright, we got 1 of them out. Now, let's just get the other one out. And then we can call it a day. I would put your other hand on the exhaust header. Can now just slide out over the studs. The studs will keep it in, but just so you don't accidentally drop it on your head, just in case. If you're doing long tubes, you will have to remove this motor mount, or the oil dipstick goes into. I'm replacing my motor mounts because I'm putting in a tubular K-member and they come with their own motor mount, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take this out. Which Ford likes to be weird. So this bolt right up here and this bolt right here, these are 15s. This one right here, that's a 13. So after you take these off, off of where these are, there's actually another nut back here. It's a 15, just like the front one is. Okay, now with the header off and all the gaskets off, we're gonna take a sponge and we're just gonna clean off the surface of where our new header will mount up at. Okay, so if you're lucky, your exhaust stud on the end, you can see it kind of has a little ridge around it. Luckily, we can get a 5mm 1/4" ratchet and it goes right over. And this will allow us to extract them and install them. However, for a couple of them, I did have to use the double nut trick, which basically you just take 2 of the new nuts that come with the exhaust manifold or the studs, put one on like such and put the other on the opposite way, thread them on there, tighten them down together pretty snug, and then once they're tightened together, then you can get your ratchet or your socket over this end, and that will allow you to extract it by loosening it or installing the stud by tightening it. So I'm going to start by installing some of the new studs now. And as you can see on the middle of that stud right there, that's kind of somewhere where you can grip onto the stud without hurting the thread. So if you do have to use the double nut method, that is probably the best case for you. With installing them, you can see it's going straight in. You know you're pretty much done, or you're bottomed out when it's pretty hard to turn ratchet anymore. I'm not tightening these super tight, but I'm getting them snug enough to where I think they won't back out. And I definitely recommend adding some copper anti-seize to the threads. I am not doing that. Don't be like me. All 8 studs are in now. So it looks like for this side, you actually can use all 8 studs instead of having to use these bolts that they supply, because they also supply these BBK bolts. This side, the driver's side, not that bad, honestly. This is probably going to be the easier side of the two. Passenger side, you have to use some bolts, some studs. It's annoying. So I'll show you that side next. This all cleaned off and all the studs removed and installed. We can put the gasket over it, and then let's just get this freaking thing on there. Follow this up to this bolt right here. It's an 8. Okay, well that literally just took 1 turn and that thing came loose. So we're just gonna slide the gasket actually behind this. I'm not sure why they would even put the dipstick right where the headers go. To me that makes no sense. But then again, I'm not an engineer. Alright, now with this gasket on there, we can slide the header on. And to hold this up, I'm going to tighten this EGR now just a little bit on that, just so it kind of holds it up there. Okay, so for these bottom ones, a nice little trick is to actually just to pull the header towards you. See how it kind of flips up a little bit? And once it flips up, you can get extra access to the studs. So what I did, these 2 are on left right now, and then these 2 are on left. The other top 2 are on left, but the bottom one's kind of hard to see right here. It's very hard to get the nut over it, but what I did is I pulled it back a little bit and I pulled it off of the stud, and that allows you to get the nut over there because it's very tight back here, as you can see, and there's no way you're gonna go straight through it. That's impossible. This other bottom one near the EGR valve, it's just kind of just slip your fingers in there and get the nut over it. But now with the hard ones out of the way, we can just stick the nuts on the rest of them and tighten them all down. All right, now with all these on, we're gonna tighten them down. I'm not going to fully tighten some of them down all the way. All 8 bolts are pretty accessible except for the ones closest to the EGR side, the top and the bottom bolt are both extremely difficult to get to. As you can see, there's pretty much no room. So that's where you're gonna have to use one of these bad boys for quite a bit, and it's gonna be difficult, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So for the washer and the hardware, it went the bolt straight through, and then there's a big washer, and then there's like a split washer, and then there's this nut right here that goes over. I had to install these upside down because I couldn't, the other way I had them going the first time, they just would not work. So that's what it should look like. And there's no gap, there should be no exhaust leak, but I'm excited to fire this thing up and see how it sounds now. Yeah, very important, make sure you fully connect the EGR. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you which studs you need to use, what bolts you need to use. We're underneath the header now, and we're going toward the front of the car. These two up here, these will take exhaust stud and a nut. Down to the other one. This one is also an exhaust stud. This next one right up here, this one is a bolt from BBK. You cannot use an exhaust stud. I've already tried. This one right underneath here, you will have to remove the starter to get to this one. This one, I use the exhaust stud and the nut. It is extremely challenging to get all these on here. It is very trial and error based of what exhaust stud or what nut or what not. But what helped me the most was not putting it on all the way. To get to these bottom ones, I really did the corners, and then I only had them a little bit on the thread, so that way I could back the header off of it and actually get the bolt and slide them in through here, and the other exhaust studs down here. This one is going to be an exhaust stud with the nut, and then you can get through there as well. That one is an exhaust stud with the nut. All right, let's start this thing up and see if there's any leaks or whatnot. If you guys have made it this far in the video, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate everybody that's been watching, and all the recent subscribers I've gained. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. I hope you guys enjoy your stay. Yes, we do have more things on the way, more content on the way, of course. The coronavirus will not stop the low DSG. Only a crowd could do that, and because of social distancing and no public gatherings, really, there's no crowd, so no Mustangs, so that would reduce the death by Mustang rate per year. Thank you, coronavirus. But on a serious note, I hope this video helped you guys out and that you guys enjoyed it, and that the next videos will be pretty nice. Before you take off on the road, you might want to start the car up, let it warm up, get to idling temperature, and then shut it off, let it cool down, of course, and then retighten down the bolts. Maybe do it a couple times just so they don't back out, because, you know, the exhaust will get hot and cold, bolts will expand, come out, whatever. So I'm going to start my car up a couple times, let it warm up, then let it cool down, and then tighten the bolts over again. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out, and I will see you guys in the next one.